friends, I'm Blair.
And I'm Evangeline.
As NaNoWriMo comes to its end, many people are finishing their books.
Today we're going to give some thoughts on wrapping up your book or your NaNoWriMo Go. Greetings! We are aliens from Planet Merp. Oh, wait, no. That was our other podcast. No, we're teen authors.
I'm Blair Wild, and my favorite animal is pigs.
I'm Evangeline Fox, and I'm actually a person.
No, but actually, we're high schoolers who like torture ourselves by writing thousands of words each day. So we figured we'd torture you too.
You're listening to Wild Fox Writing, where we talk about everything writing, reading, and books. Enjoy! Alright, we're nearing the end of NaNoWriMo currently, and if you haven't reached the end of the book, just starting out by saying this, by the end of NaNoWriMo, that's okay. 50,000 words is a typical book length, but depending on your genre and your target audience, your book might end up being longer. But this is for those of you who are nearing the end of your book and want some advice.
I would also like to add two things. First of all, many books, actually, probably the majority of books, unless you're writing middle grade, are going to be over 50,000 words. Yeah. Second of all, if you have not finished your book, come back to this episode when you have.
Yes.
Okay, point number one. If you're writing a series, you do not need to resolve everything, and actually, somewhat ending off on a cliffhanger is amazing.
Yeah. If you're writing a series, you don't actually want to end your book. I mean, if it's the last book of the series, you do need to sum everything up. But if it's the first book or in the middle of the series, you don't want to tie everything up if you want your readers to stay interested, because most likely if they feel satisfied with the conclusion, they're just not going to feel compelled to pick up the next book, because you're like, wow, they're going to ruin it for me, aren't they?
Yeah, you need to end where the reader has questions and they're like, you know, like still on the edge of their seat or whatever that phrase is. Like, you know, you want them to go get the next book.
Yeah, it is important to note that you should have some sort of resolution. You don't have to tie up all loose ends, but you don't want to leave the reader feeling like your book didn't have a climax and like the whole book was exposition or whatever. You want to have that climax and tie some things up, but you can still end on a cliffhanger. Maybe your resolution is super short.
Yeah, but you still want it to feel like an ending. You know, because like your book is ending, something has happened, something has changed.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe something still needs to be figured out or fixed, but you don't want to just like completely leave your reader with no resolution even at the first book or the middle of the series.
Because then they'll think this is going nowhere and it's never going to end. It's never going to resolve anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So our next point is that if you're writing a standalone, try to make sure most things are wrapped up. You can leave some things up for interpretation, but you want to make it feel like an ending.
Yeah, so standalones are basically the opposite of the series, and where the series you're aiming for maybe even as little as possible with still having an ending. Standalone, you're aiming for as most as possible. There is a difference in readers. I feel that some readers love a good open ending, and other readers will be furious if you end the book without telling people what happens. So
I agree with those people. You must tell me what happens, and you must write it out in very much detail. Thank you, kind.
Yes.
No, but you don't have to.
There's definitely different readers who find satisfaction in different things at the end, and unfortunately it is impossible to appease all readers, but you want, obviously, an ending, and you want to tie up pretty much all of your loose ends, so it all ties together and you actually get somewhere in the book. And since you're not going to be writing a series, there is no need to end on a cliffhanger because you don't really need to interest people in a second book.
Yeah, and you do want to leave your reader feeling satisfied because if you intend to like publish more books, like not in the series because it's not a series, but if you want to make other books, you want them to be like, oh, I like that story. They're making a new book. I'm gonna read it. You know? Yeah. Alright, our next point is to make your readers feel something at the end. Make them happy. Make them sad. Make them curious. Specifically, make them sad.
That's a matter of opinion.
Yeah. And it also depends on what genre you're writing. Because, like, if it's a romance, you'll probably want a happier ending. Any other genre could be pretty much anything.
I don't know. I would read a twist on a romance where it doesn't end on a happy.
True. I mean, would you consider Romeo and Juliet? That's like a tragic ending, right?
Yeah.
And that's romance, right?
It's more of a tragedy, but you know. It's
Yeah. You know, what about... Yeah. Okay, bye.
Alright, point number, I don't know where we're at.
4,
I think. You don't have to end on a happy note, but if you're going to have a sad ending, it still has to be, I wrote relevant. I think I meant, like, justified. Basically, if you're gonna make your readers feel super depressed and then you don't just do that because you feel like it. You need to do that because, I don't know, maybe it was essential to your character's growth or the plot that it doesn't end happily ever after, and you have to have some sort of justification for that. So maybe your readers are really sad, but at least they're satisfied with that ending.
Like, an example might be, like, maybe you're trying to convey a message about, like, some sort of sad topic that could end sadly. Or...
Like the end of The Book Thief was extremely sad, but it was justified that was the ending of that book regarding the plot.
Yeah. I have to read that still. But... And then another way, like, if your main character is about to die as your ending, which I, personally, it angers me a lot. But...
You are writing books where your main character...
Okay, but there's multiple main characters.
Okay.
If you have one main character and you're ending, like, a series or a standalone by killing said character, I don't appreciate it. But I will say, it has to be, like, if your character is sacrificing themselves for someone or something, and that is who they are, like, they would have done it, then do it. But if they're just like, you're on a whim, like, I want to kill this character to make all my readers depressed and angry. Don't do it.
Oftentimes they'll just be angry at you personally. They will have personal beef against you.
Which, I mean, you might like, but, but at the same time, as a reader as well as a writer, I do not... Yeah. So for our 5th point, I have one sentence and I will give you no further explanation. Here it is. It's very important, guys. Don't be like the end of Shatter Me.
Moving on. Our next point is your resolution should be short. Don't drag it on forever. So if you've ever seen Freytag's Pyramid, you have a tiny exposition. The rising action is the majority of your book. Climax, short and pivots, and then the resolution is a lot shorter than the falling action. If you drag on your resolution for too much longer after the climax, people just don't care anymore. And honestly, there shouldn't be that much you have to say in your resolution. Just try and make the resolution as concise as possible while still tying up all those ends. You shouldn't have to say too much because it should be pretty easy to bring it back together if you've been correctly developing these things throughout your books, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and also, like, the falling actions in and of themselves, like, they are wrapping it up. they're resolving stuff. So by, like, the resolution itself should be pretty short.
Yeah.
Like, readers are reading your book for the plot,
Yeah.
not for the happily ever after or your tragically ever after, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Don't
they
get me wrong,
get that
it
long.
is your ending is very important. It just shouldn't be that long.
Yeah, like, people want to know what happens, but then once they know, they don't care about the details.
Yeah.
Our next point is that your story can end in many ways, especially depending on genre. Hey, you could even end your book with a character dying. Maybe even... Oh, well, I wrote down maybe even the sole main character. Mind you, I do not appreciate that, but if that is what you want to do, and if that is essential to your story,
No
do so.
shade.
Yeah. But just know that if you decide to do that, I will definitely not approve.
Yeah, you've got Blair's disapproval
Yeah.
on that. She'll most likely definitely be upset.
Very. And it's different when you have multiple main characters, though, because if you have multiple main characters, like multiple point of views, feel free to kill them off.
Wow. Okay, yeah, so, yep, I agree. I think our next point gets into this, but there are some bad ways to end a book that are very cliche and very annoying. But for the most part, you don't have to feel like you want to not feel like you're doing the same thing as everyone else with your resolution. Keep in mind you can do the same thing as everyone else because people also like patterns.
Yeah, and people love
So-
reading the same book and by a billion different authors.
I guess really what I'm saying by rambling on a lot is that your story ending is good as long as it fits your plot. There is some a little bit of cheap ways to end your book, but as long as it goes along with your plot, it's good for your book. Alright, as I was saying, there are some cheap endings that will end in most readers being upset, and the first thing that comes to mind is it was all a dream, which is extremely frustrating because it basically just said that nothing that happened in your book actually happened, and it tends to make people mad.
Yeah, and none of it matters, and you don't even know who the actual character is, because they're not... That was a dream. You don't know what their life is like. You don't know anything anymore.
Yeah.
It's like reversing everything.
It's basically snapping you out of your book world and telling you that it was all fake, which obviously it was all fake, but you didn't need to tell me that.
Yeah. Keep me being delusional, please.
Yeah. There are some other cheap ways to end your book, but I'm not gonna go into depth about them. You can definitely find some videos by author tubers about going more in depth into specific story ending no-nos, but yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say for this one.
And our final little point is very important. Take this to heart. Okay. So, I have something against books that end with these barely even legal adults getting married. That's a cheap way to ship them off to happily ever after. Unless it's a romance novel, please keep me sane. Those characters are too smart to get married when she's barely 18 and he's 22. Or sometimes she's not even 18.
I feel like this is very specific.
Also, fun fact, 48% of teen marriages end in divorce within the first 10 years. A third will be divorced within 5 years. So please, don't, for the sanity of me.
Yeah, that sounded extremely pointed, but I do agree. Obviously, this is more of a problem with young adult, but this is more of our frustration as readers. It is very overdone to have your main character and their love interest get married in the last chapter or the epilogue, and it's a little bit annoying, especially since most teenagers aren't going through marriage.
We're not getting married at 17 people. We're not getting married on our 18th birthday like Bella Swan.
Yeah.
Is that her birthday? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Yeah. And also, maybe don't end the book series by giving the love interest a dog when the villains haven't even been killed, okay?
Yeah, Blair might or might not have some thoughts about a specific plot. Maybe. But we're not gonna talk about that right now because that's another episode. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye!
Bye!